Hey there, everybody. This is Kenny along with Kenny Squared. Welcome back to Sports on the Positive Tip. We have conversations at the intersection of sports and faith. And today it is, I don't remember the last time we dedicated pretty much a whole show to an all-star game, and that would be the baseball all-star game. So we're gonna have a pretty short opening. Kenny, I just wanted to hit you up on this. I love that they honored Joe. I made fun of this, but I love that they honored Joe Torre at the All-Star game, bringing him back in a Yankee uniform, no less. I think that was Aaron Boone's idea, right? What did you think about that?
I thought it was cool. I'm glad that he did a pitching move just so he had that moment. I
Yeah,
also like it because it fits well because of his time with Atlanta. So
yeah,
obviously, I don't think Braves fans have the most fond memories of him beating their butts twice, but that's okay.
yeah. Well, that was what I was going to ask you. I mean, did you what also tied in is that he started his career with the Braves. He first several years with the Braves, and he was part of a huge trade. I want to say it was I think before the 1969 season, he was traded straight up for future Hall of Famer Orlando Cepeda, and it turned out to be a great trade for both teams. He was traded to the Cardinals, and Cepeda went to the Braves, and the Braves just had this formidable lineup that year, and they won the first Western Division title. Yes, the Braves were in the West back then, and but the Mets swept them, and the Miracle Mets swept them in the playoffs that year. Swept them 3 games to nothing in the first National League Championship Series. So Torrey, though, would go on to have just this unbelievable season in 1971, where he wins the MVP. And I think he played third base most of that season. Torrey came up as a catcher. And Kenny, if I have this number right, and maybe you can look it up, I think he batted 363 that year. He just had this unbelievable season with the Cardinals. So that was one of those trades that worked out very well for both teams. He got traded to the Mets, I want to say, in 1975, 74 or 75. It probably was 75. And boy, he was past his prime, man. He was brutal with the Mets, but he becomes their manager. The one of the few player managers in history, didn't play too much, and then sort of retired after the 78, 79 season, but he was with the Mets during some really dark times. But Joe Torre then goes back to the Cardinals as their manager, first goes back to the Braves as their manager, and takes them to the playoffs. But doesn't have a ton of success aside from that. They lose in the championship series to the Cardinals. I want to say that was 81 or 82. I think the 82 season. Um, and then as manager of the Cardinals, he didn't have much success, gets fired, and everyone was shocked when Steinbrenner chose him to lead the Yankees, but it was the exact right move. So Joe Torre, I was so glad to see that.
Yeah, I think it was cool. Also, yeah, it was 363.
363, man.
I just lost the year.
That's amazing. And that was still in kind of the pitcher's era, 1971. I mean, that was just, he had an amazing, amazing season. I thought he was a borderline Hall of Famer as a player, but he's in now, right, as a manager?
Yeah, he is in as a manager.
Okay. All right. Good. All
Wow.
right.
Um,
Yeah.
Real quick, also 230 hits that year and 137 RBIs.
He
Both
had
for the majors.
137 RBI. He was never a big home run hitter. How many homers did he have?
24.
He had 24. Okay. He wasn't a 35, 40 home run hitter, but he had power. So, wow. That's one of the best years ever. And when you let 230 hits, can you imagine that? That's amazing. So that trade worked out. Those Cardinal teams had good players, but they never seemed to get into the postseason and throughout the 70s, actually. All right, we got a lot to get into with the All-Star game. You ready to get this going?
Let's go.
This episode of Sports on the Positive Tip is brought to you by the Tavern Coffee House. Attention, coffee lovers! Are you craving the perfect cup of coffee to start your day? Well, look no further than the Tavern Coffee House. It's located at 12302 Buckeye Road in Cleveland, Ohio. You can also check them out and order your coffee at thetaverncoffee.com. All right there. Hey there, everybody. This is Kenny and
Kenny squared.
with the Sports on the Positive Tip Podcast All-Star Edition. And it is rare that we get to talk about an All-Star game for most of our show because I think in the other sports, I don't know, do they still do a football one? I think they do like flag football or something like that. So yeah, hockey used to be one of the better All-Star games. Has fallen off. I've just lost. The NBA All-Star game could easily fix theirs if they just tell the players play hard, play defense. And but baseball has always been the one that kind of has been good, but it's been dominated by pitching over these last several years and the American League, and they've become, quite frankly, boring. This one wasn't boring at all. So, Kenny, I'm going to turn it over to you first. I got a bunch of stuff to throw at you, but give me your overall impressions of the All-Star game from the other night.
Well, as you know, I really like the All-Star game. Um, it's one of my favorite like non-championship games of the year.
Yes.
Like to the point where I was trying to think in my head, I could probably go back in the last 25, 26 years and almost connect all of the dots of things that happened in those all-star games. Um, like you remember those days where that was the one day that I would actually use the scorebook and
Try to keep it
score them all.
that was crazy. I was like, that's the
Um,
worst. That was the first time you did it. I remember it was one of the All-Star games. I don't remember exactly what year. And we were like, this is the worst one to do it at because there's going to be so many changes. But you did it and you kept it. Go ahead.
yeah, no, I did that for a long time too. I think up
Yeah.
until like 2010, 2011. But either way, I think out of this one, you look at the last, like really since 2021, I think this was probably the best one. Um, I really liked 2019 because it was here in Cleveland. It was a lot of fun. We went to some of the stuff. I don't know how I did that because Isaac was just born, but we went to like some of the stuff they had downtown. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Um, but like as far as like a competitive game, see, you said it before. A lot of them have been very like pitcher heavy, low scoring. There was a few like in the late 2010s where you had your like there's a few extra inning games. Robinson Cano hit a home run. I remember one of them with the Mariners, which seems weird. Alex Bregman as well. Um,
Yeah.
but like for a lot of these more recent All Star games, it just kind of has felt like everyone's there. Everyone kind of has a couple moments, like Shohei Ohtani um, becoming the first guy to like pitch and then also lead off as a hitter. I think of the Nestor Cortez, Jose Trevino
Yeah.
conversation, which that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Um, but like between the actual game itself, where you had moments like Clayton Kershaw having probably his final All Star appearance.
Right.
Freddie Freeman in Atlanta getting a very nice standing ovation and being
Oh,
choked
yeah.
up because of his time there.
Yep.
Uh, and then just like some of the other big moments, like Pete Alonso hitting a huge home run. I know in the end it didn't mean much, but it was still a huge home run at the time.
Yeah.
And then the way that the American League just kind of chipped away and came back. How Jazz Chisholm was this close to having an amazing hit in that ninth inning, but Matt Olson made a great play.
He sure did.
Um,
Yeah.
but then also, I think just the swing off, like this All Star game historically is going to be known as the first one decided by a swing off.
Yeah.
And I know that for some people, it's very controversial because it's like, that's not baseball. I can tell you from just like the fan perspective, I think it was a lot of fun to watch. And you can tell the players also really enjoyed it. Everyone that was still there, which I'll get to that in a second, everyone that was still there was like not just sitting in the dugout, they were standing on the field cheering these guys on.
Yes.
And it was super exciting. Like, however much I hated the ending because Kyle Schwarber is really good at hitting home runs. Kyle Schwarber hitting those 3 home runs was just such a cool thing to watch.
Yeah.
And I know there's going to be a lot of question of, oh, well, should MLB do this in the regular season? And I'll get to that in a second. But to me, one of the biggest issues I had with it wasn't even the format, because I really like the format. It was the players that were involved.
Yeah.
And people will rip Aaron Boone for it, but it's not necessarily his fault. The American League had Brent Rooker, who's pretty good, Randy Arozarena, who's not like a great home run hitter, and it's a Joe Aranda, I believe,
Yeah.
from Tampa Bay. Um, but also on the American League team, you have this guy named Aaron Judge who hits a lot of home runs. You have Cal Raleigh, who's hit more home runs than no one's hit more home runs than him in the first half ever. And also like Vladdy Jr. All three of those guys have won a home run derby in their past, and yet none of them were available. Now, and you go even to the National League side. Schwarber, I would include him. What about Shohei Ohtani, the biggest player in the league?
Yeah.
Like you couldn't go with Shohei. You couldn't go with I don't know, Pete Alonso. Well, I guess Pete Alonso would have been there.
Right. Right.
So from what I've read, a lot of those like the players that started the All-Star game weren't even there
No,
by
they
like the
left.
seventh, eighth inning. They left. Like Aaron Judge, the Yankees are playing in Atlanta, so he probably went back to his hotel room with his wife and just like hung
Yeah.
out. And, like they started their All-Star break early, which I get that and I
The other
understand.
guys was on a private jet and heading home, you know?
Yeah. So like I can understand that. But it would have been, I think, if you really got some of those bigger players, you could have really had a lot more excitement behind it. Um, as far as whether or not we should do this in the regular season, I would make a few adjustments because I think this idea of the swing off is baseball's version of the shootout in the NHL.
Right.
Um, and I think it could be exciting, and I think that it could get more people to actually tune into baseball because, like, the game isn't going to go on for 15 innings, which you don't really get a lot of those anyway today because of
Right.
the man on second rule.
Right.
But here's what I would do: I would still do the 10th inning. We want to do runner on second or not? Fine, I don't care. Because I do think having like at least that extra inning, a lot of games get decided in the 10th, especially when you have the runner on second.
Right.
Um, but then I would then do a swing off, but I would do it based on the batting order. So let's say 3, 4, and 5 are up. Those are the three guys that go. 7, 8, and 9. Those are the three guys that go. And then from there, if you want to like pinch hit someone from off the bench, you can go for it. So let's say you're looking at the Yankees and you have Oswald Peraza, who I don't know if he's hit a home run this year. Uh, but then you have
Right.
Giancarlo Stanton, who has been on the bench because just the way the Yankees roster is, you
Right.
can then pinch hit him in. So
Yeah.
I think there's ways that you can kind of make it work. And having 3 swings is a lot better than the home run derby where guys like historically have messed up their swing or jacked up their elbow or shoulder. So I'm so glad that Jazz Chisholm stunk in the All-Star game or in the home run derby. But I think I think it's a unique way that you can grab more eyeballs and get some more attention around baseball. So
Yeah.
I really loved it. Next year will be fun in Philadelphia. I hope that they do a lot of like America stuff. Also, side note,
Yeah.
we didn't really talk about this in the beginning. Hank Aaron, that tribute was really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I got a bunch of stuff written down here I'm gonna throw back off you, and that's top on my list. I full disclosure, I was very, very tired. I saw them tie it up, but I went in the room. I had the iPad's volume totally down, and but I did I had it up a little bit, and I heard them say that Edwin Diaz is the last available pitcher. And I'm like, what are we
Yeah.
doing here? You know, said what happened? I totally forgot about the swing off thing because I know it was a few years ago, but it hadn't happened. So I totally forgot about it. So I did. My eyes just automatically started closing, and next thing I knew, I watched the highlights of it in the morning. You know,
Um, when they said that Edwin Diaz was the last pitcher, there were two thoughts that came to mind. Number one, Dave Roberts, you are horribly overmanaging an all-star game, and that's
yeah,
annoying. And then secondly, oh my gosh, are we going to be at 2002 again?
yes, yes,
Um,
yes.
but then I was also like just kind of looking at Twitter, and people were like, "Yeah, if this ends in a tie, this is going to go into a home run derby." I'm like, "Oh gosh, let's
Yeah.
please make that happen." So yeah.
Yeah, I totally missed that. I probably would have been more incentive to keep my fat eyelids open because they got very heavy. So I didn't see it live, but it was amazing watching Schwarber. And so let me ask you this before we get to the Hank Aaron thing. I thought that some rules were put in place that players were supposed to not opt out if they didn't have any injury in the All-Star game, but we saw a few guys do that, as well as they're supposed to stay on the bench for the entire game and be available. I thought that there were rules put in place. Am I off on that? Obviously, I must be.
I thought so too. I have to do some research on it
Okay.
because I remember like Derek Jeter doesn't have a lot of controversial moments in his career, but one of them was the 2011 All-Star game. Later on in his career, Arizona, he had been voted to a billion before, but he was voted in as the starter, but then decided just to not go and enjoy the full All-Star break. And I
Right.
remember, especially in New York, because WFAN can be brutal, that like there was a lot of people that were criticizing him for like not playing for the fans. And I thought after that they had created a rule
I thought so
that like
too.
you had to do based on injury.
Yeah.
Um, because also like I know with the pitchers it's a little different because after your boy Scott Kazmir in 2008
Yeah.
was put in the 15th inning, they made that rule that if you pitch on Sunday that you couldn't
Right.
pitch in the All-Star game.
That makes sense. Yeah. That makes
But
sense.
yeah, like to me, if you are voted in, especially like unless you're hurt, you should be basically required to go. Like no shade because he's been carrying the Guardians on their most recent streak, but Jose Ramirez, like luckily Stephen Kwan had his moment and tied the game,
Yeah.
but like you are the starting third baseman. You telling me you couldn't give two, 3 innings?
Yeah, especially if that you're allowed to leave afterwards, you know? Now it's a lot, right? I'm sure that someone like, I'll just take Aaron Judge for a second. I'm sure Aaron Judge shows up for the All-Star game. For those days, it's a whirlwind for him, right? That Monday, that Tuesday, I'm sure I'll probably visiting hospitals, signing autographs. You know, they probably, baseball takes advantage that these guys are all in Atlanta and they have them out doing charity stuff. I totally get that. It's probably an exhausting couple of days for them. I totally understand that. But I mean, I was surprised at a guy like Jose Ramirez, who, you know, we always still call him the most like underrated superstar in the game. Well, this is where you kind of get your name out there. I don't know that he cares about that. He's such a great player and he just goes about his business. But I swore that you could, but if you're voted by the fans, you gotta show up. Yes. I mean, I can see if
Yeah.
you're voted by your peers as a substitute and okay, you might opt out, but I mean, if you're voted in by the fan, you gotta show up. Like you said, play a couple of innings and that's it, you know?
Yeah, and I no one would have noticed if it weren't for the swing off that like your Judges, Otanis, and Raleighs left early.
Oh, nobody
And
would. Yeah.
I don't really have that big of an issue with that because like you said, they probably do a lot. Like I know Monday is like the All-Star row. Like I've seen so many different interviews of players
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
definitely happen like Monday or Tuesday. So
Right.
like it probably is a draining time. And then like you still have to get most of them have to still get on a flight Friday to get to whatever city they're starting the second half in.
Right.
So like these guys that probably need the break the most aren't getting it.
Right.
Um,
Right.
although as a Yankee fan, I would say the guy that needs to break the most is Volpe, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
I think that like I do understand that, and that's also part of the issue with the NBA All-Star game. I think Chris Broussard talks about this a lot, that like um, because all of the stars are in one place, a lot of like the endorsement parties and things like that, a lot of like the extracurricular stuff for athletes happens at the All-Star game. So there's so much going on that like the game itself becomes an afterthought. So I
Yeah.
think like I can understand why some of them ditch, but I think if you're starting,
Yeah.
unless you are like
Yeah.
legitimately on the injured list, like you can't just not show
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, and then if you vote, you know, if you're voted in and like Jacob DeGrom showed up, he couldn't pitch, right? But he showed up. He's there. He's signing autograph. You know what I mean? He took part in all the festivities. Get the introduction. You know, you tip your hat. I don't know. All right. I don't want to yuck on our yum, as my friend David Samsung says. But baseball gets these big events right, and we've seen that over the last few years with these special games. And I don't know if you saw they showed the preview of how the field and stadium is being built inside the Bristol Motor Speedway. That's going to be the next big event in the summer. They get these so right. But what's worrying me if baseball strikes? I mean, the collective bargaining agreement ends at the end of this year. And it seems like every time that's happened, there's some sort of strike here. And that would turn so many people off because when you start to think about Yankees Dodgers World Series last year, you've got these larger than life guys, Ohtani, Judge, and we're going to go through a bunch of other guys for future Hall of Famers in a little bit. But baseball really got this All-Star game right, right? I mean, and they could ruin it if they go on strike. And I have a feeling it's probably going to be another great matchup in the World Series, whether it's Yankees Dodgers or Mets and somebody else. It'll be a very compelling Mets Tigers or something like that. It'll be compelling for people to watch, right? So let's keep our fingers crossed that this is a good momentum changer. All right, the Hank Aaron tribute. And I had forgotten until they said it that it actually was July 15th, 7:15. And the way they did it using the modern technology, but combining it with Vin Scully's call and then the Braves announcer, I always forget who the Braves announcer was, call. I'm surprised they didn't have the Kurt Gowdy NBC, call mixed in there. But that's being very picky. It was amazing that they did that. Remember when the All-Star game got pulled, it was the year that Hank Aaron passed away. It only passed away a few months before, and it got pulled from Atlanta. And so I thought it was amazing. What were your thoughts on the Hank Aaron tribute?
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool, like, because it kind of felt like it was like happening right there.
Yeah.
I do agree that because yeah, that was something that I'd seen a couple weeks ago. That's why I don't know if you watched any of the Home Run Derby, but
A little bit.
all of
Yeah.
all of the American League players wore their number three, um, regardless what their actual number is, and then all of the National League players wore 44. Three to represent Babe Ruth, who hit
Oh,
714 in Atlanta, or no, with the Braves. Sorry.
right. Boston Braves. Yeah.
Um, and then also obviously 715, Mr. Hank Aaron. And they said like home run derby on 714, All-Star game 715, which like is more of a coincidence than anything else. I mean, we talked about it at length that
Yeah.
they shouldn't have gotten rid of the 2021 All-Star game.
Right.
Also, like the Colorado one was kind of it'll be known as the Shohei Ohtani one, but
Yeah.
it's kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
like not really memorable. And also like I like the jerseys. It's bad jerseys too, but
Oh yeah,
um
yeah. No, I love that they were wearing the home team jerseys again. That
yeah.
yeah, yeah, that was great. Um, Hank Aaron's wife is still alive, which is great, and she was there, Billy Aaron. So it was I thought that it was amazing, and as you know, I've talked to you about that moment so much watching that game, and just all of the amazing things that led up to that with Hank Aaron getting all the death threats and everything, and then hitting his first time up in Cincinnati. He hit 714. He has to wait the whole offseason, stuck on 713. It was just an amazing, amazing moment. So yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed that as well. Um, Kyle Schwarber, there was some debate. Did he deserve MVP or Pete Alonso with that big 3-run homer? I'll come back to that in a second. I was totally fine. I mean, for him to hit three like that on three pitches, and with all the pressure and everyone watching, both teams out of the dugouts, the fans seemed like they were so into it. I thought it was just incredible. And I've always liked Kyle Schwarber. I think he's an amazing player, amazing hitter, particularly. Did you think he deserved MVP?
Yeah. Um if the National League had won in regulation, Pete Alonso should have been MVP. And if Schwarber didn't hit three and he only hit two and Alonso had to finish it off, then I would have also said Pete Alonso needs to be MVP.
Okay.
But what Kyle Schwarber did in that moment was really the game changer. Because especially like I think John Smoltz, who still bothers me on broadcast, he talks too much and also always rags on the Yankees whenever he can.
He hates the Yankees.
Um
Yes.
Like, like, come on, be at least a little
Yeah,
unbiased. Like, that's all
yeah,
I ask. But
yeah,
um, he had said like, oh yeah, like he probably needs to hit at least one or two home runs early on, and then like first pitch bomb,
yeah,
and then the second pitch, like when you're looking at the All-Star game as a whole, the most exciting moment was Kyle Schwarber's three home runs there.
yeah,
Like, like
yeah.
I think for that alone, he should win MVP.
Yeah. And that one he hit the center field. Oh my gosh, that was so dramatic. When I saw the replay on that, I was like, what? He hit it right over the center field fence. Amazing. And yeah, I agree. As much as I would love to have seen Alonso win that, that was my Mets moment. I still, I had a feeling he was going to do something. And because of that, I'm still saying my Lee Mazzilli 3-run pinch hit home run in Seattle, which ironically enough tied the game 6-6, is still my greatest All-Star Met moment, at least, because it totally came out of left field, and it's an opposite field home run, which Mazzilli hadn't really done many of those, and he wasn't a big home run hitter, and it was that was amazing in the spot that he came up in. But Dave Parker won the MVP in that game with those throws. So this we haven't talked about yet. I'm anxious to get your thoughts on the whole strike zone thing. What were your thoughts there? We had a couple of appeals. One or two got turned over. A couple of them got upheld. What were your thoughts there?
Honestly, I like it. It's I think it's absolutely inevitable. And you had said CBA. CBA actually expires at the end of next season,
Oh, okay. I
2026.
thought it was
So
this season. Okay, 2026. Okay.
so yeah, we still got some time. I do agree that I think we're barreling towards a lockout because I think owners really want a salary cap because they're looking at the Mets, they're looking at the Dodgers, they're looking at the Yankees, and like, and it's they feel like they can't compete. But it's not even so much that it's the owners like Oakland, Cleveland that have high net worths that aren't even spending their money. But I think like the salary cap is going to be a huge thing. But I think something that will be implemented regardless. I don't even think it'll be with the next CBA. I think it'll be next year will be the ABS because I really like it. Um, you could like part of it is like people will say it's losing the art of pitching a little bit because like um some of the pitch framing will go away, but also you got to be a little strategic about it. But like there was a few where it's like, yeah, that probably was a strike, but the catcher didn't catch it well enough for it to be framed a strike.
Right.
Um,
Right.
like I
Right.
think the one that Edwin Diaz challenged
Yeah.
was
Yeah. That was
like
good.
that one was obviously a strike, but
Yeah.
then it wasn't called. But usually it's not called that.
Yeah.
Um, to me, like how many like you can think of several games where your team lost because of a bad call, whether it's a bad ball or a bad strike. I think one that sticks out the most is Joe Nathan, I think against Tampa Bay, I want to say. Yeah, because Joe Madden came out arguing about it.
Yeah.
It was like a full count, bases loaded, ninth inning, and Joe Nathan threw a bad pitch, like almost in the dirt, and the umpire called it strike three. And even Joe Nathan is like, "Oh
Wow.
gosh."
Okay. I
Uh,
remember he walked off as quick as he could.
yeah. So like, calls like that, there should be some recourse for it. I do think it works pretty quickly, and I do think that people just have to be careful with it. Aaron
Yeah.
Boone told the All-Star guys ahead of the game, like, "Hey, it's up to you, but you better make sure it's right."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think like there's a few that were like borderline that people didn't do, and I think like having the challenges where you only have a couple,
Yeah.
I think helps. So I'm
It was
I'm
quick.
looking forward to having that next year.
Yeah. And it came up quick, right? I think probably within 10 seconds you saw, the challenge thing come up. I imagine if you're there in the stadium, it comes up on the scoreboard. We saw it on our screens. I thought that was I liked it too. I do hope they do. I mean, it's got to come. I would think it's coming next season. I mean, I don't. Why? Why wouldn't it at this point, right? It's not a robot ump or some of the things that they've talked about in the past. This, I think, is really really good. Do you notice this? There's a difference in the relationships with umpires and players now. You see umpires, shaking players' hands and stuff like that, which you didn't see in the past because there's just with the challenges now, there's still some play like Carlos Mendoza got ejected. I want to say it was last week or something like that, arguing balls and strikes, but he was more taking up for his player. But the ejections are less and less. Like Bobby Cox even wouldn't get ejected much if he was still managing today. Um, and I think that's all good for the game. I really do for players to be able to feel comfortable going and talking to umpires. Like you know, even in your day, nobody went to talk to Country Joe West. They were afraid of him, man. You never saw players bantering, with him. And but it's kind of a different way now, which I think was good. Um, one or two more things on the All-Star game, and that is this is just me trying not to be an old fuddy-duddy. I could kind of do without the in-game interviews. The only one for me was Clayton Kershaw, right? Because Kershaw has got a big personality, and he was chatting it up, and he was telling, "I'm going to throw another curveball here," which that I found very interesting, right? He's like, "Oh man, I haven't figured out how to get this guy out yet. I forgot who he was talking about." But like in the beginning, when Raleigh, see, like you talked about Trevino and Nestor Cortez, they were chatting it up big time. Cal Raleigh and Scoopable, it was almost like an annoyance. They were like, leave me alone here. I don't know why they did it. At first, Scoopable seemed pretty excited, but Raleigh wasn't. He took the earpiece out of his ear, if you noticed. It's like he was like, I don't want to really do this. Why did I agree to this? And so I didn't get any really good information. I guess the best other one aside from Kershaw was Jacob Wilson, the shortstop for the A's. I thought he added some good tidbits because I remember his father, Jack Wilson, was a pretty good player. He's in the stands and he's mic'd up at the same time, and they talk about a little bit about when he used to throw to him in the backyard and stuff like that. That was mildly interesting for me, but other than that, I could do without the in game. I mean, ESPN does it anyway. Fox does it not much during the regular season. They might do one player they'll mic up for a half an inning. But this, it was like every inning for like the first 5, 6 innings. What were your thoughts?
Um, I do agree Clayton Kershaw was the funnest.
Yeah,
Because also like it seemed like he was just having a great time out there.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, Scooble and Raleigh was bad. I don't know if you also caught Raleigh also dropped an F-bomb at
No,
one
I
point.
missed that.
I
He did. I didn't hear that.
I thought I had heard it, and then like I saw on social media, it was like, oh yeah, nope, he did.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
because I think also with both of them, because obviously like Scooble got rocked a little bit, and he doesn't get rocked by anyone.
No,
And I
yeah,
think that really distracted him.
yeah,
I
yeah,
did also like the Wilsons. I thought that was kind of a cool story, especially like
yeah.
the both were now all stars. Like I think that was really cool.
Yeah, Jack Wilson was a
Um,
very good player, good hitter. Yeah,
I also did like Pete Crow Armstrong. I know he might not be your favorite
yeah.
guy.
No,
I
no, I
thought he
like
was,
Pete Crow Armstrong. Set the record straight. I hated the trade now. I didn't hate the trade at the moment, so it's kind of second guessing. I was like, oh, we got Javi Baez. But go ahead.
but I thought his was good because
Yeah,
I really liked what he said because they asked him is what did they say? Um, oh, he said like it. Someone asked if you have any advice for someone that like really wants to be like you. What would you say? And he said like, don't be like me. Be yourself.
yeah,
And it doesn't matter. Like I spent too much of my time trying to be like other people instead of just being myself, and that's how I really felt like I grew the confidence that I have. So
yeah,
I thought that was cool. But yeah, so I think they have to pick the right people, and
yeah,
like the
yeah.
Scooble and Raleigh, like I
No,
feel like Raleigh isn't really the most like he's a great hitter, but he's not a
yeah,
great personality.
no. He didn't.
Um,
He didn't want to do it. You could tell he didn't want to do it. Not that his school looked like he was excited at first, but then he's like, I got to pitch and talk too.
he's like, yeah, I can't do this.
I can't do it. Um, it was great. I thought the whole night was great. It was an entertaining game. That home run that Brent Rooker hit was amazing. And that was when I said, "Oh, the American League might just come back and win this." I think you had sent that text too. Said, "Hey, this is the first time National League is dominating, but there's a long way to go." And sure enough,
Yep.
that same inning, Rooker hits that long 3-run homer, high 3-run homer. It was very dramatic, and it was good. He's a good player too. The A's always seem to come up with all these good players that they eventually can't afford to keep, and that's a shame. Um, all right, I think that's it. Anything else from you on the whole? I think we covered everything. Hank Aaron, Joe Torre, the strike zone thing. Yeah, I think we covered it. Anything else from you?
I think that's it. I mean, obviously Pete Alonso had the big hit. David Peterson had a good inning. Um,
I have that down, but I don't want to. The Mets had a good night, because Lindor came to play. I mean, you saw the couple of great plays he made in the field. He came to play, and he would have had a nice double. That was a really good play. Was it a Rosarina that made a good play down the line on his
yeah,
line drive? I mean, he laid into one. Diaz did his job. I mean, Kwan just barely hit it. And kudos to him. He hustled down to first base. No, even Suarez, who made a great play earlier, right, with the bare hands, couldn't get him. But it wasn't because of Diaz. I was surprised he brought Diaz in and took Suarez out. It was Suarez, I thought, that had the off inning there, and he's normally really good. But but yeah, the Mets had a good night. Peterson pitched well, Diaz pitched well, and then of course you had the Alonso big home run. So yeah, I was excited to see it. No matter how old I get, at 65, I texted this to Larry before. I said I always look forward to seeing my guys in the All-Star game, whether it was Bud Harrelson, Jerry Grody, Tom Seaver. Seaver never pitched all that great in the All-Star game. He got rocked one year. I think that same year, 74, when John Matlack came in and was co-MVP, and whether then it was Jose Reyes and David Wright, and Dwight Gooden, Gary Carter. I always look forward to seeing my guys in the All-Star game. So this was an especially good night, for me. Doesn't matter how old I
yeah,
get excited for that.
yeah. You mentioned David Wright. I think of when he won the home run derby and then hits a home run in the All-Star game.
Yeah, that
He
was a
might have
big.
been MVP if it weren't for
Yeah,
the comeback.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but the Yankees not as much. Jazz had a rocket that wasn't out.
yeah,
Judge didn't do a lot, but Rodon had a good inning, so good
yeah.
for him.
Rodon pitched well. Yeah, yeah. That was a great play by Matt Olson. You mentioned that earlier. But then he missed that other one, which contributed to the rally. It would have been a good play, but I thought when he fumbled that other ground ball at first base, but it happens. He's a great first baseman. All right, future Hall of Famers. You ready? This ties in kind of with the game. I think there are four absolute 100% locks. They've done more than enough in their careers. They're going to walk right in first ballot. Mike Trout, Justin Verlander, Clayton Kershaw, Max Scherzer. Your thoughts?
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Okay.
They could retire today and they would be a first
And
ballot
they're
Hall of
in.
Famer.
Okay, I totally agree. All of them. All right. And I got this off MLB.com, and these are guys that says they may as well start engraving their plaques. So I'll fire off the names, and you tell me if you have any that you would take off. I have one I'm going to guess you're going to take off this list. Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Jose Altuve, Paul Goldschmidt, Francisco Lindor, Manny Machado, Bryce Harper, Jose Ramirez, Aaron Judge, Nolan Arenado.
Oh, see, and I know exactly where you're going here because um, if you look at Altuve as like he's arguably he's easily top three Astro of all time.
Yeah.
Like if not him, Bagwell, Berkman, well not Berkman, Bagwell, Biggio, him. I mean, I guess maybe Royal as well if you want to go
Right.
there. The only thing that might keep him out is the whole the trash can incidents and like how much of because like his one MVP is tainted. And really, like even at the time, people thought Judge should have won it. Um, but like especially now with everything that's come out, now you wonder how much of it is legitimate, kind of similar to the steroid stuff. Um, so I do wonder with him. Statistically, I think he probably makes it in though.
Yeah.
And as well as the rest of those guys, like Arenado, arguably the best defensive third baseman of this era. Paul Goldschmidt, MVP. I believe he is, if it's not him, it's Freeman, like one of the active leaders in hits, as
Yeah.
well as a Gold Glove first baseman. Freddie Freeman, couple titles and a World Series MVP that still pains me to
Oh
this
yeah.
day.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Altuve is the only one you have any issue with. I'm in agreement. I think Altuve is going to get in though. I think they're going to put that trash can thing. I don't think they'll treat that like they treat steroids. And I still even think so eventually some of these steroid guys will get in. Um, okay. How about these guys? Are they already in? Two guys, Shohei and Juan Soto.
Uh, if you talk to the right people, they would say yes. In my opinion, they need a few more years.
Okay.
Um, do I think Shohei will eventually be a Hall of Famer? Absolutely. Do I think Juan Soto will be a Hall of Famer? Absolutely. But if they were to retire today, I don't know.
Right.
Um,
We can't say that
but
definitively yet.
yeah, because like Shohei could easily go down as like one of the best players ever, especially if he pitches another 5, 6, 7 years and still is hitting 40 bombs a year. Juan Soto probably has one of the best eyes since Ted Williams.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but also like I think it's a good example. You know, he's the only player ever to have over 20 home runs, 70 walks, and not before the All-Star break and not make the All-Star team.
Well,
Um, and I think part of that is
yeah.
because of the pressure and the expectation. And if he's not like the best player in the league, people will kind of say that he stinks.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Um, all right. I don't have anything to say on that either. The only thing is what to me seals it for Ohtani now is does he have three MVPs? It's not many players that
yeah,
have three MVPs early. So I do think both of them have to have a long way to go. Now, this is interesting because MLB.com, I'm going to give you now young stars on the rise and tell me which ones you think have the best shot. But they say that the same list years ago had Chris Bryant on it and had Andrew McCutchen on it. And those are guys that I'm not so sure we might put in now. Maybe McCutchen, certainly not Chris Bryant, who I loved. He was one of my favorite players. It's a shame all the injuries just wrecked his career. But so let me fire these guys off. Certainly, we know that they haven't done enough yet, right? But let's fire them off. Ronald Acuna Jr., uh, Jordan Alvarez, Fernando Tatis Jr., Bobby Witt Jr., Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Julio Rodriguez, who also backed out of the All-Star game too, which was kind of weird. Gunnar Henderson and Corbin Carroll, who had a big home run in the game as well. Out of those guys, who maybe do you think you can see not getting in?
no, I was going opposite.
Okay.
I think the top three out of those guys that I could see, okay, you'll probably get in Tatis, because I think people like him a lot.
Yeah.
Um, Vladdy Jr., especially if he can continue what he's doing. And I think also Bobby Witt. I think a lot of people really like Bobby Witt Jr. So
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I see. I was going Acuna as a lock, but he's had this propensity to get hurt though.
yeah.
So, that's the only thing that bothers me. And I think Corbin Carroll is a 5 tool player. You look at his size, you're wondering how he hits all these home runs, but he's a wonderful player. I mean, he's a great fielder. He runs, steals bases, and he hits for average and power. Um, Alvarez also, and I think Alvarez, the clutchness of him, he always rises up to the big moment, but he also has a propensity for some of the injuries. All right. How about some starting pitchers now? I'll give you three first. Chris Sale, Garrett Cole, Zach Wheeler.
Yeah, to all three. Um, Chris Sale, he never won a Cy Young with the Red Sox, but probably should have. But like easily was like a really dominant picture. I don't know where he is as far as strikeouts go. I have to look it up, but I would say he probably is. Garrett Cole, I'd say definitely.
Okay.
Especially if he wins a ring. Um, and Zach Wheeler. I think Zach Wheeler probably is too.
Okay. And Cole was also great. I mean, we forget that he was great with the Astros as well, you know. So he's had some long-term longevity there. Zach Wheeler would be the only one I'm like iffy on. Hasn't won a Cy Young, but I don't think that's a criteria. You don't have to win a Cy Young. But Wheeler's strung together some great years. Okay, the question they ask here: if what if these guys win a third Cy Young? And they're giving us two names here: Blake Snell and Jacob DeGrom.
Blake Snell to me is overrated. Uh, and Jacob DeGrom, I think, will probably be either way. I saw someone posting a video saying, like this was kind of the year for him to kind of make or break his career. Because like you could say, okay, injuries, but then now that he's fully healthy, he's had an excellent year. Obviously, he was an all-star. And like looks like the Jacob DeGrom of like 2018, 2019 Mets. So I think he'll probably be in. It'll be interesting. He'll probably go in as a Met, but
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah,
But what if Blake Snell wins a third Cy Young?
it'd be really hard to argue. But also, I don't know if he will. Uh, well, let's see.
Yeah,
Uh, players with three
there's not a
Cy
ton with
Youngs.
two. Are there pitchers with three? You got Pedro probably, Kershaw.
Yeah, there's Randy Johnson. I think won four in a row.
Yeah, yeah. Randy
All right,
Johnson.
so
Sure.
here's the list of players that won multiple. Roger Clemens obviously won seven.
That's amazing.
Um, Randy Johnson won five. Greg Maddux won four straight. Steve Carlton won four. Justin Verlander's won three. Max Scherzer three. Clayton Kershaw three. Pedro three. Jim Palmer three. Tom Seaver three. Sandy Koufax three. And I'll just rattle off everyone with two. Snell, DeGrom, Corey Kluber, Roy Halladay, Tim Lincecum, Santana, Johan Santana, Tom Glavine, Brett Saberhagen, Gaylord Perry, Bob Gibson, Denny McLean. Yeah, if he wins three, he probably gets in.
Yeah, because that list of two, a lot of those guys aren't in. Like Tim Lincecum, Denny McLean, I think should be in based on he won 31 games one year, but um, I think three puts it in rarefied air there, right? I think all of the guys that you name three on up are in the Hall of Fame except Roger Clemens, right? If you just glance
Yeah,
at that list, all of them are in the Hall of Fame. So I think if see, I'm with you. I think DeGrom is going to probably get in, especially if he has a couple of more years like he's having this year. I think he'll get in. Snell, I think on the years he hasn't been Cy Young, has just been mediocre. But on the years he was Cy Young, he was outstanding. So I know you're not a big Blake Snell guy. I'm looking at you, but if he wins three, he would be the only one that wins three on up that wouldn't get in. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he would get in. You know. Uh,
yeah.
all right, I want to last one, and then we can jump into some inspiration. Last category, I got three relievers for you: Kenley Jensen, Aroldis Chapman. I asked you about him, I think, the other day. Actually, I'll give you four: Edwin Diaz, as well as Josh Hader.
Oof. I know it's harder for relief pitchers. Um, I would maybe say Kenley Jansen because I think he's top five in saves all time. Um, I feel like Chapman's probably gonna get in.
Yeah,
Um, let's see. Uh, I believe he's been in like seven or so All-Star games. Like there are a few relief pitchers that have been in more All-Star games than Aroldis Chapman.
yeah.
Um, and also like he keeps doing it this late into his career. Like I thought once he left the Yankees he'd be gone, but let's see,
He's still
one,
throwing
two, three,
100
four,
too, man. He's still
six.
throwing 100.
Yeah, he's been to eight All-Star games
Uh, yeah. Um,
with several different teams. With Cincinnati, he was with the Yankees, and now with Boston. So I guess three teams.
yeah.
Um, and also like when you like when you think of guys that have thrown the fastest throughout their career, Aroldis Chapman is probably one of one. Um, like I mean, you look at the hardest ever balls thrown. He might not be number one overall, but I think he's got like probably like 8 or 9 of the top 10.
And he's the first one I remember that started regularly throwing 100. You know what I mean? Maybe there was somebody before him, and we didn't measure Nolan Ryan and some of the other players that came before him, but he's the one that seemed like he set the standard, that he could throw 100, but with precision, and paint the corners and everything like that. I mean, Chapman, his career kind of fell off for a little bit, but it's like the last couple of years has made quite the resurgence, and didn't he pitch? Because I fell asleep. Didn't he pitch the bottom of the ninth for the American League and shut the
He did.
National League down? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, Kenley Jansen has been really good. Go ahead.
Um, top 10 fastest pitches in the StatCast era, which I believe is 2016.
Yeah,
Out of the 11, Aroldis Chapman has 9 of them.
yeah,
Ben Joyce went through 105.5 last year,
yeah,
and Jordan Hicks hit 105. The rest of them are all Aroldis Chapman.
yeah, yeah. I'm surprised Mason Miller is not in there. Wow. So Chapman has 9 of the fastest pitches of all time, and he's still throwing hard. It's amazing. I I don't know. So I would put Edwin Diaz to the side for now, and I'd also put Josh Hader to the side for now. I think a couple more big years from both of them, then and we could start to talk. Because you never know. I mean, you think about K-Rod, right? Frankie Rodriguez. We would have certainly, put him in years ago, right? When he was going good for not only, the Angels, but then first couple of years with the Mets. But then what happened, to him? I'm sure there was some injuries that racked his career as well. All right, it was an amazing week. It's been an amazing game, and let's hope baseball now. The second half, I mean, this is a sprint because the Mets are 55 and 42, and the only reason why I'm bringing them up because if you add those two numbers together, that's 95 games, right? So this isn't the halfway mark. This is well now into the second half sprint here. So if I do the math right, that's 67 games left. And probably the Mets, I'm just saying the Mets, but I think most teams have around 66, 67 games left. So it's not like it's 81 more games left, So this is going to be fun. I think when we talked about last week, some of the pretenders, I think they're going to stay pretenders because it's just not a ton of time unless they get blistering hot. All right, you ready for some inspiration?
Let's do it.
All right, mine comes out of the All-Star game, and it is one Jason Adam. The Padres, by the way, in the second half, I think are going to be very, very tough to deal with because of their bullpen. These guys are amazing in their bullpen, and never been a big Suarez guy, but he's good enough, I think.
Future Yankee.
Future Yankee, you think he's good?
Oh no, wrong Suarez. Wrong Suarez. I'm thinking Eugenio Suarez.
No, that's your guy. Yeah, yeah. He's an excellent player too, but I said he was a little two-dimensional. Maybe I was a little hard in saying that. He's been an excellent player for a couple of different teams now. Jason Adam is relief pitcher for the Padres. He was in the All-Star game. He got in. And when they talked a little bit about his background, it made me go and want to do a little bit more digging in. Did you know this? Now he's 33 years old. This is his first All-Star game, and he's a middle reliever. He's having a great year. 6-3, 1.72 ERA. So he's having a lights out year. But what's amazing is that he bounced around. He got drafted, I think, by the Royals. He's been with the Royals, the Blue Jays, the Rays, the Twins, the Cubs. And because the reason why he's bounced around is he's had not one, not two, but he's had 4 elbow surgeries. 4. And he also, was a failed attempt to stabilize a stress fracture. So he overcame all of those, but he also had a dislocated ankle, which for a pitcher, that's also an awful injury for anyone, but especially a pitcher, it says these injuries and subsequent surgeries led to a period where he almost retired before finding his success here with the Padres. And so he came up very highly touted, but he missed significant time all of 2015 and all of 2016. And he credits everything to his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for getting him through. And you and I've talked about this before. When you have these type of major injuries, and probably you're seeing that with the NBA players who had the Achilles, it's a lonely recovery. You go from being in the spotlight to really maybe with one other person in rehab and hours of pain and sweat. And think about all of the rehab this guy had to go through to not only get back to the major leagues, but to become an all-star and have the type of year that he's having this year. So I can't imagine. I don't know of a story of a guy having that many elbow surgeries and still being able to pitch at a high level in the majors, as well as a dislocated ankle surgery. So shout out to Jason Adam. He is my inspiration this week.
Yeah, that's a good one. You were sending me a few. I saw a lot of players saying kind of the same theme. This is not my inspiration, but maybe inspiration 1A. Um, a lot of players saying like all of the fame and all of the fortune and all the popularity means nothing without Jesus. And
Yeah.
um, I think that that's huge.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
my inspiration actually comes from a couple weeks ago. Obviously, Texas was hit with some pretty bad flooding,
Yeah.
and it's been a very big and awful situation. And our prayers are with everyone. Someone that did stick out to me in there. So, obviously, one of the big places that was hit was the Mystic Girls Camp, which is a Christian camp. And one of the girls that passed away is actually the niece of the chief's CEO's wife. So, when that happened, she put out this, and I'm just gonna read it. She put out this post. Our hearts are broken by the devastation in the floods in Wimberley and the tragic loss of so many lives, including a precious little Hunt cousin, along with several friends' little girls. How do we trust a God who is supposed to be good, all knowing, and all powerful, but who allows such terrible things to happen, even to children? That is a sacred and tender question, and one the Bible doesn't shy away from. Scripture is filled with the cries of those whose hearts have been shattered, who still wrestle to trust the same God they believe allowed the pain. Here's how God's word helps us to rebuild the trust when our hearts are broken. God welcomes our honest pain. And then kind of goes on with there. Number two, he is not distant from suffering, he entered it. Number three, trust is rebuilt through remembering. And God does not waste our pain, and trust is a daily decision, not a sudden emotion. If your heart is broken, I assure you, God is near. He is gentle with your wounds, and he is still worthy, even if your soul is struggling to believe it. Trust doesn't mean you're over the pain. It means you're handing it to the only one who can hold it with love and restore what was lost. For we do not grieve as those without hope. So, obviously, our prayers are with her and their family. But I just thought it was a really cool tribute and kind of a connection to sports where, yeah, our hearts are really out for those that have lost their lives. But at the same time, we know that, yes, grief is a real thing. Yes, hurting is okay. But we also have to make sure that we give that hurt to the only one that can ease that pain. So,
Yeah.
um, our prayers are with them. And yeah.
Yeah, Ken, I so appreciate you sharing that. I didn't know any of that. And and we can get ready to end here, but I think the one thing I'll add, and I'm sure you have experienced it, you've been a pastor a lot longer than I have, but the toughest thing that I get as a pastor is someone that is really grieved at the loss of a loved one. They'll look me in the eye and they'll ask me why. Why would God allow, this to happen? And I thought that the answers there was so beautifully written. So that is one of the Hunt. Who was that wrote that again?
Um,
related to the Hunts.
Tavia Hunt.
Tavia
Yeah.
Hunts. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That is so beautifully written, and it's hard, to let people know that we grieve, but we grieve differently, right? And that God is next to the brokenhearted, and he took all the suffering on himself, and but we also live in this world where unfortunately things happen, and something like that, who can explain it? 25 feet of water in that shorter period of time, all of these young ladies. I can't attempt to explain it, but I thought that she really summed it up extremely well. So thank you so much, for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We take a breath. We end on a high note. We got a lot of stuff to talk about next week. Will we be on next week? I'm going to be there. And we can tell the audience we will report from the grounds of Kansas City. Is it still Kauffman Stadium that we will be
Yeah.
going to? So Kauffman Stadium, your hometown Guardians against the Royals, a Friday night should be an excellent game, and we'll report in on what we find. My remembrances, it's been a while since, hasn't been that long. I think I went to a Royals Red Sox game in 2020. Actually it was 2019. It was late in the summer of 2019. So that is a little bit, but I've been to that stadium. I think you're gonna really like that stadium. It's a nice, really a great atmosphere to watch a ball game.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we were on our road trip last year, I passed by it. We were going to stop, but because we stopped at the team shop in Colorado because we passed right by Coors Field, and we bought a T-shirt. My goal is to buy a City Connect T-shirt, so then
Okay.
I could say that I was there. So
Yeah. And the Royals wore their royal blue all weekend long against the Mets. So yeah. And there was no mention about the 2015. I was swore they would have done something to honor the 2015 teams, right? But there was no mention all 3 days. I think SNY did a couple of quick clips from that World Series, but I'm surprised that on the 10-year anniversary and the Mets are in town that they didn't do, bring back Eric Hosmer, Mike Moustakas, Lorenzo Cain, and that whole team. But is what it is. All right, bud. But now take us home.
all right, this is Kenny Squared N
Kenny.
with Sports on the Positive Tip. We will see you live in person now next week.